A zombie pirate deckhand mobs ever worth recruiting in patch 6.3.4. This is another Tides of Torment preview. One commenter said in reference to gunnery mobs, "These are why you shouldn't recruit deckhand mobs ever." I don't think that's strictly true, but this is still the bottom of the roster. That's okay. Or rather, it's more okay than it used to be because they reduced the recruitment cost. Being trash is one thing, being expensive trash is a crime. Recruited for 250 gold and 62 upkeep default, the basic deckhand mob comes on ultra unit scale with 160 entities and 12,000 health between them for 75 hit points each. In other words, these behave like proper zombies, a meaty meat shield, able to do that job through sheer existence. Skaven slaves and Clanrats will have to stop and fight them, if nothing else, even if heavily outnumbering the force. Armor is 15, no surprises. Leadership starts at 35, absolute bottom tier. Speed 23 and charge speed 26 are low. This is worse than Chaos Warriors jogging with well, however heavy that armor is. Melee attack begins at 17, which is certainly low. Attack interval 4.3 goes with their dual sword animations. There is no splash damage for these masked combatants. Melee defense begins at 15. This too is low, and substantially lower than skeleton warriors and spearmen, though far, far better than regular zombies. Weapon strength 29 is split base 22 and armor piercing 7. That's right, they hit ever so slightly harder against flesh than the Empire Swordsman. Charge bonus is 10 and mass is 90. The unit is aquatic and fights better in shallow water, not worse. It's undead, causes fear, and can hide in forest. This unit, in this state, is available as a summons for Lore of Vampire casters. Since they can't flee, unless instantly hit with a gargantuan spell, they'll last better than Clanrat summons for weapons team armies, though probably not by much if surrounded and disintegrating. A Crown of Command would be funny here. We'll talk more about them some more later, but let's look at the Polearms version, because this takes some kind of effort to recruit, be it from land settlements or from ship buildings, or lucky raised dead pools. That, incidentally, is where you'll probably get most of your normal deckhand mobs. Recruited for 400 gold and 100 upkeep, the Polearms also come at 160 entities with 12,000 health. Stats are otherwise identical until we reach melee attack, which is 14, 3 lower. Attack interval is 4.5 seconds, slightly slower. Melee defense of 20 is 5 better, but nowhere near as good as Skeleton Spearman. Weapon strength 27 is 2 worse, and is split base 8 and armor piercing 14 damage. There is a bonus versus large of 13, so that's melee attack 27 and weapon strength 40 versus cavalry and monsters. Charge bonus of 3 and mass of 90 again. In addition to aquatic, hide in forest, and causes fear and undead features, the unit has charge defense versus large, and charge reflection to do bonus damage against charging foes it blocks. What did I just say? That this is a relatively dirt cheap, low tier, 160 entities, 12,000 health, armor, piercing, anti-large unit. It's like an extremely low quality Blackguard of Nagaron knockoff. You don't get much more hidden gem than this. Very well hidden. For the redline skills, held together by screws, as a 3 pips, leadership plus 6, and melee defense plus 6. This doesn't make them better on offense per se, but it makes them far better at the meat shield roll. That's 15 to 21 and 20 to 26 for the 2 variants. Hardened Scum, surviving to rank 7, benefit from Deadly March, and this grants armor plus 18, so over 100% of your starting level, melee attack plus 8, making them hit far better than they have any business doing, and spell resistance 15%, because spell nuking is absolutely the most efficient way to destroy them. For the tech tree, an addendum to the gunnery mob video. People mentioned Powder Monkey and Master Gunner, but these are one-off followers available through the tech tree. They are awesome, but are not general unlocks. That's the only way in which I missed them, but that's okay. It's good info in the end, and I'm glad people know it. Command Crews, beginning the general unit part of the tree, grants leadership plus 5 to the deckhand mobs only. Once again, this makes them better at meat shield rolls. Silver musket balls and cutlasses adds plus 3 bonus versus infantry to both. which means even basic starting mobs will have melee attack 20 and weapon strength 32 versus infantry. Hardened Pirate Scum adds +2 recruit rank. Serrated Harpoons adds +3 bonus versus large to the Polearms mob specifically, not the other one, and to the equivalent Depth Guard unit we'll cover another time. Marines Upkeep once again offers upkeep mass 15%, which is nice. Unliving Reflexes grants melee defense +5, which shores them up substantially, especially if combined with the redline skills. We're not quite done. Salvage Cruise offers +10% casualty replenishment to both Deckhand Mobs, and when a unit on a stupidly high health pool, getting entities back between fights and raising that health pool up is very helpful. Finally, Salvaged Arsenal offers a +20% weapon strength to both units, and Depth Guard besides. Folks, +20% is gigantic on a mass infantry unit. You wouldn't think from the faction, but Redline Spec Lords can get an active ability to not just raise leadership, but to boost melee damage by +25% for the duration. If you have someone occupying the Fleet Warrant Admiral office, that army will have casualty replenishment +10% generally, leadership +10 for Deckhand Mobs, and melee defense +10 for the same. So aside from the rank 7 boost and veterancy, most everything that raises their baseline raises it in terms of leadership and defense, though the tiny bonuses versus type do help, and +20% weapon strength is nice. Remember, the Polearms double dip and can get the bonus versus infantry too. So, how do we use the Deckhand Mobs? Now, I'm not going to drown you in the idea these salty sailors are going to kill much for you, but they will trade with really low-level troops and buy lots and lots of time. I see a belief that the pistol gunnery mobs will hold out just as long. 40 less entities on Ultra and 4,500 less health is a really large gap between them. Oh, the pistols have the potential to do damage, sure, but that's a lot less against your Dark Elf swordsman types. In other words, Deckhand Mobs are purer meat shields and will last longer with any kind of consideration at all. Of course, the good question is, do you care? Well, you might care, because as blocker units, including for checkerboard formations, they can buy you time to shoot, and shoot some more. Of course, a wise admiral will show some concern for where mortars land, but that's a luxury. The essential part, especially if you just called in a summons, is to create conditions for area effect attacks, be they Wind of Death, Lore of the Deep spells, or Queen Bess. Now, polearms are mostly what I just said, but a lot better at holding in general, and there are basically two uses. One is as a cheap way to chicken scratch down well-armored enemy units, like dwarfs. The other is to close off flanks, and, if need be, your rear, to enemy cavalry and monster attacks, to secure your artillery, your gun line, flanks, and so on. And I'm here to tell you, they're very decent at holding for a certain amount of time. No, they have no inherent defense to getting shot, and will be picked apart by archer units, but if you're chewing them up with mortars and the like, you can withstand that. They're taking hits so that gunnery mobs do not, but this is an essential unit for dealing with certain factions. Don't invade Bretonia without it. Armor-piercing damage is just guaranteed through armor. It's not a nerf when fighting very light cavalry. Show no remorse throwing them into combat against basically anything willing to stand and fight. As for the regular unit, it's kind of the same thing, you just have to understand they really aren't that good on offense unless you are somehow making up for a low melee attack. Some spells will help with that, like Danse Macabre. More often, they range from poor to very, very adequate blocker units that buy you the time to do fancier things. That's your aspiration. One more thing, they're basically your only ideal source for the cold bodies necessary to create large battlefields for the better raised dead pools, so they need to die for you again and again. That'd sound more romantic if it was for a pretty half-elf girl, but oh well. So make them fight and die for you, but the main thing is 12,000 hit points, and buying time. The rest is up to you. But yes, for you crazy people speccing into them, they'll slowly carve up opponents while you make those maneuvers. Take care, and have fun getting knights errant off your lawn.